Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I think that you know very well that's an issue that I've spoken to, asking you questions about it for almost a year now. And it's the issue of, the Office of Refugee Resettlement and the children that were referenced in the New York Times articles. In fact, you last testified before this committee in July of 2023 after the New York Times reported on the, I think I'm not the only one that thinks so, horrendous exploitation of children that were discharged by ORR. I asked you at that time whether the children referenced in the articles were still being employed illegally at dangerous facilities. You said you'd get back to me, so I resubmitted my question for the record. 7 months later, I mean, I know that the department is busy doing things, but 7 months later, I received your response to my questions for the record, and what was so obvious was that question that I had originally posed was ignored. There was no answer from you on that. I think one of the most alarming aspects of this issue is that ORR employees claimed they faced pressure to expedite the release of children at the expense of their safety. Now, I've got questions about each one of these, but I want to get my comments in first. According to the New York Times, monthly calls to HHS reporting trafficking and abuse of children increased fivefold from less than 50 calls in January of 21 to nearly 250 calls in December of 22. I've requested more recent data in my questions for the record, but I haven't received any answer. Yesterday, I introduced the Transparency for Unaccompanied Children Act to strengthen congressional oversight of ORR by requiring the agency to issue timely, public, and comprehensive reports on the Unaccompanied Children's Program. And we need you to cooperate with us on this, because I don't think all is well at that part of your agency. So my first question is, and I'm asking it once again, are the children who were profiled by that article in the New York Times still illegally employed today?
Congresswoman, thank you for the question. And I know that my team has been briefing your team and you on this subject matter. And as I've said on many occasions before, it would be nice for me to tell you a more direct answer about what is happening to the children who are no longer in our care and custody. We don't have jurisdiction over them. If you wish to give us jurisdiction over them, that would be fine.
Secretary,
but I
with all due respect
have no authority
to you,
to do that investigative
wait a minute,
work.
it's my time. It's my time. Have you worked with the Labor Department? Did you ever call them to see what's happened to these children?
We have a joint operation.
A joint operation on what? No answer?
Addressing the
On
child
no answer?
exploitation.
I think you have the responsibility. You were a
Congresswoman,
member of the
we answered your
Congress.
questions based
You
on the
were a
authorities that
member of
we
the
have.
Congress, and our questions are important. I'd like to know what you've done to change ORR's culture to ensure that the agency always puts the safety of children first. What can you tell us on that?
Certainly, I can tell you that the snapshot that you are speaking to back in the early part of 2021 is not the circumstance you see at ORR today. If you recall, as I've said many, many times before, the previous administration had dismantled the ORR operations.
I don't want to, that's not what my question is. Just answer my question. Have you done anything? Share with us what you have done. I think you purport to have done things to change that culture. These children fell into a horrendous situation. And I know that the Department of Labor has, after they leave you and what you do, but there was so much room for improvement in this. And so, you know what? Why don't you answer my question in in the questions for the record, and I'm asking you to commit to working with me on this legislation because this needs to change. I think it's a dark mark on all of us when these failures take place. They're the children. We have to answer to God for them.
Congresswoman,
So I'm
I
asking
disagree
you
with the way
to,
you've
I'm
characterized
asking you to commit to working with us on this, and I yield back.
Thank you.